follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Will you follow me? We won't leave With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds out there. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other before. Brought to you by AniMa W3 Studio, this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Welcome, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching or listening to this. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. This is the Friday edition to give you the Smackdown, Lowdown, Beatdown, Hoedown, whatever you want to call it, down of the evening. A decent show tonight, I thought. A lot of fun had. Some people may think differently, especially if you're online, but hey, that's fine. We all have different opinions. I, of course, am one of your co-hosts for the evening, your world champion, Hawkins, to give you the lowdown of SmackDown. And of course, I am never alone in this wonderful endeavor that we're on, for you see, two lovely gentlemen are always joining me. Well, usually. Sometimes some of us have, things to do and, people to see and all that stuff. But of course, first off, on my right hand shoulder, the angel that is filled with positivity, the legend, the visionary himself, Legend D Vash. Vash, how you doing tonight? It's been a hot minute since you've been on the show.
Yes, Chad, life happens. I do other projects for AniMa W3 Studio. That's the parent company of Weebs of the Ring. So, things happen. But as Walker said, the visionary, legendary Vash is here to speak on behalf of this tonight's SmackDown. Vash couldn't make it on this past Raw and on this past, grabbing the week. So he's like, hey, I still want to tune in on SmackDown for this week project to pull myself in and get into the conversation. So that's what we're here for tonight to discuss what the hell did The Rock discuss about? Was it here worth it to take something off the map of tonight's coverage? We have a 3 hour SmackDown, but we still took out some stuff and we're like, why? But hey, we gotta get into the conversation. Was it all worth it for all the hype? Was it really worth it? So let's jump into the conversation because it's gonna be fun tonight.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a blast and all that. So, yeah, man, it a lot of stuff to kind of go through with SmackDown, and of course, to help us get through all that stuff, to get through all the stories, we have the man here to help us process all the things that are going on. He is known as the genius of the mat. Here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, Drop This Box is here. Drop, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, there's definitely a lot to talk about, especially what transpired at Rock, which was the main talking point, really. Probably one of the main reasons why a lot of people tuned in to SmackDown, because I mentioned last night when me and you were doing Grappling with the Week, this was one of the things that was brought up when we were covering, the news that we had in our little spread. The Rock randomly says he's coming. A lot of people were trying to tune in and see what it was. So we made an assumption at first that we knew it was about the WrestleMania 42 thing, which I don't really think we need to touch on too much here. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting conversation because it's definitely split with a lot of people.
That it is. And of course, if you missed last night's episode of Grappling with the Week, don't worry. The VOD is up on the channel. Make sure you check all that out. And if you're able to, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss when we go live with not only Grappling with the Week, but of course our Raw and SmackDown coverage. And of course, next week we'll have our Elimination Chamber coverage as we continue on this road towards WrestleMania. And if you're joining us here in the chat, remember, be sure to join in on the conversation. Just keep it classy, keep it nice, and keep it positive. Otherwise, you might have to get the boot from Vash, who will be heavily watching you and heavily judging you as well. So let's just dive into everything. Enough of the preamble, enough of the introductions. People now know who we are and what we're all about. We're going to go right into our big story, the big talking point from this SmackDown. The final boss coming onto SmackDown. First of all, he comes out to SmackDown and he had a remix of his theme from Lil Wayne, which cool, neat. didn't really
No
hit me,
lie,
but
it felt like a Death Rebel just out of nowhere,
I
out of the
mean,
blue.
the
It
way
just threw me off. It was like I questioned my
Mhm.
ears, and it just the transition of the background music of the lightning and everything, and the transition back into his music. It really threw me off. Was that the
yeah,
only one, by the way?
no, it threw me off
no,
too. Like, I don't think it's his new theme music or anything. Like, I don't know, someone did
yeah,
bring it up in the press conference, which I guess was one of the things I was curious to see if somebody would bring up, and it's just like, I guess a throwback to like some rap or whatever. I don't really think it's gonna be like a reoccurring thing you're gonna see him come out to all the time, because you got to think about it like
yeah,
this. Realistically, look at the position he is on the board. He wants to make sure that like everything is perfect. I mean, God, a lot of this whole thing about him being on SmackDown came last second, so it's like wherever the fuck he wants to
hmm
do goes. So I don't really think he's gonna allow people like, Def Rebel or anything to fuck up his song or anything. He'll just keep shit the way it is, like it's been. But yeah, definitely
yeah,
did catch me off. I was actually I was like laughing more than I was confused, because I at
yeah.
first, before we got that little insight and the little press conference, um I thought somebody hit the wrong button, so I don't know what the fuck it was, so I started cracking up. But
I thought Kevin
yeah.
Dunn was back, and that his
Oh God.
teeth decided to
I'm
kind of
glad
come
he's
back
gone.
out and play games and all that with us, being like, "Oh, we're gonna hit the final boss button. No, we hit the Def Rebel button. Oh shoot,
Yeah.
no, final boss button, final
Yeah.
boss button. Hit. Okay, all right, we're good now."
Yeah.
Oh man, but The Rock wasn't just here to announce that WrestleMania 42 is going to be in New Orleans again. So hey, that's cool, that's neat. We got a nice little logo that kind of looks like the same thing we got at WrestleMania 34, but
Yep.
that's neither here nor there. Yeah, we're going to have a New Orleans hosting
Yeah.
WrestleMania again. That's cool, but that's not the
Nice.
only reason The Rock was here. He wants to talk to Cody, so we're not having this 6-man tag we thought we were going to
Oh,
have. We're just going to have a regular tag match in the main event. Holla, holla, playa. Teddy Long's still here. But The Rock wants to talk to Cody, and they're all hugs and kisses. They're best friends, aren't they? We've seen them on red carpets together. We've seen them, be buddy on Raw with The Rock saying, "Hey, thank you for holding the company up." And he basically says the same thing tonight. He's like, "Hey, thank you for being a great champion, Cody." And he does this thing, and to be honest, it's really brilliant because, like, if you guys remember back during the Raw Netflix premiere, I think me and my fellow teammates here, we were all confused about
Yeah.
what is The Rock doing here? Like, he was in this blood feud with Cody, and now he's being all buddy chummy with him.
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh, thank you for holding the company up the past year. Great,
Yeah.
awesome."
Now
And
it's starting to make
it,
sense now with this
yeah,
storyline.
yeah, because like we're seeing that The Rock is trying to tempt Cody to his side, trying to like control Cody a bit
Seth
because
Rollins,
like
Austin.
Cody kind of went off the rails, and Rock does mention last year's stuff and all that, like how Cody kind of took charge and tried to take command of everything, and The Rock, instead of fighting him, he's gonna try to control him now. So that's what all of this that's how I'm interpreting it, at least, is just like he's trying to be friends with Cody, trying to befriend him in order to gain his trust, in order to control him,
Yeah.
And basically he gives him a choice. He's just like, "Look, you could be my champion. It's cool that you're their champion, but if you want to get to that next level, that next like that higher echelon of champions from WWE, you got to join me. You got to join the final boss. That's the only way you can get up there." But you know what? Take some time, take the next week to think about it. I'll see you in Toronto. And this left a lot of people confused, a lot of people questioning like what's going on and all that, and like how we're getting there, where we're going. But I like this little wrinkle that we're getting. I like where we might be going with it because there's a ton of possibilities. But I'm gonna bring it off to you guys first. Drop, I want you to kind of start us off here because like we kind of were talking too before the show even began with like a lot of theories that can go on. But I
Yeah.
guess before we get into the theories, let's talk about the segment first. What do you think about this segment first, Drop?
So I'll admit, at first I was really confused what was going on. Like, after I sat on it after the show and as the rest of the show was going on, I started understanding it a little bit more, but my like first impression about everything going on, I was really confused. What was going on? Like Rock kept rambling on, saying the same thing over and over and over again, so I didn't really understand exactly like what his whole point is and everything. I don't know if it was just hard to really process at the time. Just like a lot of people online, they're like split. They're like, okay, what the fuck did I just watch? What is The Rock trying to do? Like, if anything, besides like a select few people that actually took the time like we did, like post show, to actually sit on it and everything, a lot of people are really confused with like the overall direction of it. So like that was my overall first impressions with it. And like even with like a lot of the memes coming out of it, with like The Rock caressing Cody's face and then giving him a kiss and stuff like that. I don't know, like more memes were really made out of this segment, if anything. But that was basically how I felt about it at first. I'll definitely share like more on that once we bounce off from Vash.
Oh yeah, of course. And I mean, as we know, memes apparently do control our media anymore, which it's fine. You know, if the Rock wants to, you know, cuddle up with Cody Rhodes at the end of the night, hey, more power to him and all that. But Vash, what were your thoughts on this segment first before we dive into some theories of where things could be going?
I would say when it comes to The Rock, I wonder, was it something planned or was it something scrambling that happened last minute because of The Rock's schedule? Because lately, WrestleMania, for some content creators and fans, the road to WrestleMania hasn't felt like it has happened. It felt like it hasn't speed roll yet. Elimination Chamber has been feeling rocky of who's winning to versus Cody. So I feel like, I wonder if The Rock had to jump in because of the reception they have seen on the timeline about, you know, who's Cody next opponent. But the one thing that I love that he brought up that connected everything to this is what you brought up, Watkins, is that the reigns. Cody, what's the reigns you're looking for as champion? Who is it that you want to verse? And I love how he's kind of guiding the response to the fans and to the audience to what the answer is and what's the story for Cody Rhodes. And that's why I am enjoying the most when it comes to that conversation.
Yeah, and like that, because that's the thing, you know, because Cody's had a good year with the title. Like, it's not like he's had a lackluster year. Like, he's had really great matches, some good stories going forward. I mean, just recently, the stuff with Kevin Owens was really dang good. And yeah, so it's just like, okay, how can we evolve Cody even further? Do we double down on his goody two shoes, Boy Scout kind of thing, or do we turn him into Codelander, teaming up with The Rock and all that? Like, do we make him a corporate thing or anything like that? Now, this kind of gives way into now our theory town of what could be going on, because like. And even like you know, Vash, I'm glad you said something about like the build to all of this and like if this was planned or not, because like one thing I did see a lot of online today where a lot of people just like trying to grasp where this might be coming from, because like apparently when Cody was giving his schedule for like February and all that, February 21st came around on that little video he had, and apparently the video used was of him and The Rock backstage drinking and all that. There's also, you know, the whole idea, again, like when you go back to the Raw before Netflix, how a lot of us were confused at that point when The Rock was just kind of, you know, kissing Cody's butt the whole time, you know? Like, we were sitting there thinking, okay, what is going on? You guys were literally in a blood feud. You were spanking him with his own belt, saying you were gonna go up to Mama Rhodes with the title and all that. Like, it baffled all of us. And then, you know, to have this moment here, it's just like, I get, at least for me, I could see the vision of like, okay, this is like a final boss thing. This is what an evil character will do. Saying, you know, just like I was saying before, I can't really control you. well, at least at first I can't think I can control you, but let me try to, sweeten the deal a little bit. Let me sweeten the pot a little bit. Try to lure you in. Oh, we're friends, aren't we? We shared some tequila. Look, our moms are best friends. They love
Yeah.
each other. Like the fact he brought up that photo had me set me a bit.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys with that.
yeah.
Mm,
Like,
but yeah.
oh no, I'm just waiting until we get to the overall conversation.
Oh no! Oh,
Well,
that's right here, right now with our theories. So, because a lot of theories going on, a lot of people trying to compare this to WrestleMania 17 with Austin and Vince kind of shaking hands and how Austin basically made a deal with the devil and all that.
Yeah,
So
finally got a
this
win
is
over the
this is
Rock.
now theory time. Like, is it going to be Cody that joins with Rock? Is it
I
going to
know.
be whoever wins the Elimination Chamber? Like, I kind of want to hear from you guys because, again, me and Drop kind of talked a little bit before the show, but
Yeah.
I want to start with you, Vash. Like, where do you think things could be going from this? Like, what predictions or theories are running rampant through your head?
it's a hard question to answer because it's we're on the road to WrestleMania. We're on a
Mm,
speculation route. I think I saw in Rio today, quick off topic, but it does connect to this, involving
no.
how WrestleMania shouldn't announce their choice of their opponent of Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber until the weekend after Elimination Chamber, so it could feel more intense build up to who could be the opponent. And I don't mind that. This was a video from
Mm,
Mr. Santi, I believe,
Yeah.
and I believe he was
okay.
with another content creator. And I like the concept because this, like, we're only a week away, 1 weekend away from this fight of the Elimination Chamber, and then we could find out and decide who's the opponent of Cody. And The
Mm,
Rock being added in this conversation when he literally just got announced in a movie, um,
Mm.
probably filming later this year. So people are speculation, oh, we're not gonna see The Rock, and then he got announced in that, hey, he's gonna be on tonight's SmackDown. So now it just begs the question, like, are they playing around with the reports, or they're trying to see the fan speculation and see, and they're trying to read the room, see what do fans
mm,
want. But then, how far are we gonna have Rock versus Roman? Is that gonna happen from what we happened with Fatu and Solo tonight? So all those things gonna be built up where the Rock didn't really connect with anything Bloodline related. It was more Cody related. So are they trying
mm.
to just have them isolated and have them a match still, trying to build up? Because we still don't know. Um, what The Rock gave Cody last year on the side pocket. That also has
Mm-hmm.
been a thread
That
from
was the
back then that we
watch.
never got revealed.
Yeah, it was the watch. He
Yeah.
posted it on his IG. It was the forgot the name of the watch.
Oh,
Posted it. The watch that was Cody
okay.
gave him.
Oh,
Gotcha.
totally
I
didn't
did. Yeah,
remember
I
that.
didn't see that post. Yeah.
But
Um.
like, other than that, with there is just hard to speculate in that
Mm.
aspect. Like, how about you guys? Like, what is it that I missed or that I
Yeah.
haven't seen
Mm,
yet?
So my
um.
whole
Yeah.
uh, so my whole feel with this is like I said, I'll be honest, at first I was confused, like I was explaining earlier when we first dived into this. But I feel like it's just one of those situations where, like we saw within the promo itself, like I'll come out and say it, it felt really awkward, which I
Mm-hmm.
tend to feel that whenever you got Cody and Rock in there, like that night after Mania, that was like another awkward segment. And maybe for all we know,
Mm-hmm.
that could have been something that's been built up that post Mania all the way into their interaction on that Monday Night Raw, then all the way up until now. But what I want to get into right now is like the whole question he asked him, like, are you gonna sell your soul to me? Pretty much meaning, just to break it down without giving without reiterating what he said in his promo, he pretty much wants Cody to be his puppet. And for all we
Yeah.
know, it could just be one of those things where it's like Cody sells his soul to the devil, and then in reality, it's just a trick where Rock is just going to be able to do whatever he wants. You don't know necessarily if Rock's really going to give Cody what he wants. I mean, maybe theoretically he could if Cody decided to turn heel, because this really is a heel move, trying to have Cody put himself in a position where he becomes a corporate character, and he just goes beyond a level where he is right now, because you think about it right now. Look at The Rock, he's a part of the board. He makes all these different kinds of decisions. He decided to put out a press conference after SmackDown. He decided to, rearrange everything that happened on SmackDown. He even explained it that last year he came to have that match at Roman, but then things got all twisted and stuff. So it's like Cody could very well be in a situation like that where he can get what he wants. He can call his shots. He can do this and that. But getting to my point, I don't feel like Cody's going to accept the offer, because it really doesn't make sense to me. And I look at this from a character's point of view, and this goes from movies, video games, anime I watch, manga I read. I try to understand a character, because when you understand a character, you can understand the sort of motives they have and the sort of decisions that they make. Because there's a lot of media that we probably consumed where we saw our main character, which is typically the good guy, where they could have took the easy route. They could have took the shortcut to really get what they want even faster, but they decided to go against it because they felt like the work ethic that they put in was more than enough to get to where they are. Because you look at Cody, really wasn't taken as seriously when he was in WWE originally. Left, went in the indies, rebuilt his character, started AEW, pretty much started a whole revolution in wrestling, came back, and he's pretty much a made man. So you look at the story of Cody Rhodes, he bet on himself, and now he's the American Nightmare. You look at that story he told ever since he came back to WWE, and you see him busting his ass off, winning 2 Royal Rumbles, finally beating Roman to become a WWE champion. It just doesn't really make that doesn't really make that much sense to me, to really see Cody just be like, you know what, I'll go ahead and do this, because it's like it just doesn't make any sense. It's like what shortcut does he need to take? He's already there. And I know there's like that's why I was saying more than likely obviously we'll talk about it next week, but as of now, I don't think Cody's going to accept it. Doesn't really make sense realistically. Because, like, can you really see the Elimination Chamber ending where Cody says yes or no? And then they do this little handshake if he says yes, or he gets beat down if he says no. Like, I'm thinking the payoff's going to happen next week during the Elimination Chamber, which whoever wins that, if Cody says no, more than likely he is. Because I don't buy into Cody being heel, at least anytime soon, but it doesn't really seem like it's the direction. They just like teasing it. The only thing that's really different with Cody, he has more edge to his character, which is understandable. You want to make sure that you're putting your foot down on a lot of situations. Any normal human being would do that. But
exactly.
But it's like I told you, we got 6 competitors within this match, and I stated, it would be easy for us to really break down these guys. I feel like process of elimination, you could throw Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins out of this. Doesn't really make the most sense to really have them in there. Same thing with Drew McIntyre. Really, he pretty much does his own thing. He pretty much carries himself. So Drew McIntyre really wouldn't make any sense, because you look at Drew, he goes against all this kind of shit. So he would kind of look like a hypocrite in the end if he actually decided to put himself in this situation. So that's why I'm leaning more towards like John Cena or CM Punk. But it's like I told you, Watkins, off air, CM Punk's always fought against corporate. CM Punk's just that guy who does not give a fuck. So it would just be really weird to me to think, oh yeah, Punk's just gonna side with Rock if Cody says no, and he's gonna get that main event spot. Like, yes, it makes a lot of the sense in the world, but sometimes the stuff that makes the most sense might not be the story you really want to tell. Like because it's like we've seen Punk turn heel before, and I'd argue and say Punk's best work that I enjoy. Well, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy his babyface work, because I love Punk as a face or a heel, but he's had a fucking great career as a heel. But Punk's another character, kind of like Drew, where he can get there on his own. He doesn't need any of this fucking shit, and plus he has that stuff with Heyman, so it's like, isn't that counterproductive? to have something going on at Rock and Heyman at the same time. This is a story that's been built ever since Survivor Series. Rock wasn't even involved. They even said, plans changed. Things changed just yesterday. So it's like, can't really tie in the favor with The Rock. So that's why I'm going to come out and say Cena potentially. You can call me a madman all you want. Do I personally believe myself when I'm saying this? No, I don't believe myself. But at the same time, you look at Cena, the whole story that he has going on right now. You got John Cena coming back to WWE, the Raw premiere, the retirement tour of Cena. You don't really know what to expect besides all these big matches you want to see Cena have with Drew McIntyre or Punk. It's always about, oh my God, who's going to fight Cena in his last year? But we never thought about what kind of character arcs would Cena go on in this year. One of the ongoing storylines that we've had with Cena is the fact that he's very desperate. He hasn't won a match in years. He's even stated that. He stated that the Royal Rumble could be his lottery ticket to main event WrestleMania. He lost the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso won. Right decision. Argue me all you want, but I still agree that that's the right decision because WWE doesn't normally strike when the iron's hot. Glad they did. Smart business move there. But you look at Cena during that press conference, and maybe that was by design, but it's like he was saying how he's done a lot for the company over the years. He wants to do what's best for business, which is a key word. You look at stuff that happened with you look
key
at
little
stuff,
phrase there.
Yeah, you look at stuff what happened with like Austin and Vince, and you look at the stuff that happened at Rollins when he sided with Triple H, and everything that happened when he put the chair to Roman, which honestly, you look at how Roman's going to like react to all of this, like post all of it. But that's a story for another time. But it's like you look at that promo because I want to do what's best for business. I've done so much for this company. I feel like what's best for business is for me to main event WrestleMania, to get 17. He didn't say that before. Now he's saying it. And then they even have that fucking vignette play after the Rock and Cody segment tonight. And I mean, I can call myself stupid, but I didn't want to believe the whole Charlotte thing went in the Rumble, but they did it quite a bit leading up to Rumble. Look what happened. She won the thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just could be one of those moves where it's like, Cody says no, and then you see Cena turn heel. And like, I feel like that would catch a lot of people off guard, mainly because it's not believable. People don't see it. People are like, Cena's not going to end off his year as a heel. We're never going to see that. We never really ventured down that direction. That's something that could catch people off guard because not a lot of people are expecting it. A lot of people are expecting Punk to turn heel and do stuff like this down the line. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened sometime this year or early next year. You're definitely going to get another heel Punk run. But I feel like it could definitely be Cena.
I think
he's the poster.
Yeah, and I think the main thing to kind of take away with like who it could be is that just right there is the act of desperation. And like when I look at the people that are in the Elimination Chamber, I that's where I'm trying to look at like, okay, who would be the most desperate to join up with The Rock? So it's like, okay, Punk I don't really see because again he's anti-authority. He's already got a backup plan too with the whole favor with Heyman. Like Heyman's got some pull, whether or not he's on the board or anything. He still has some pull. That's why they have the whole thing with the favor to begin with. Damian Priest, he wants his shot at the WWE title to be on top again, but he hasn't really reached that desperate level at least. And I mean, he's still somewhat freshly babyface. I mean, I say freshly because time is just non-existent. So I don't really see him being desperate enough to be like, okay, I'm gonna join The Rock. Logan Paul, I mean, he's a little shit, a little snake in the grass, so he could realistically kind of join in with The Rock, but at this point I don't see that being a thing.
He's a shell.
Yeah,
exactly. Like he's a shill and all that. Like, but I just don't realistically see that happening with him right now. Seth, I mean, there is something there where it's like, okay, well, screw you, Cody, for teaming up with Roman. But I don't see him like aligning with The Rock because, again, look at last year. Just look at the build to WrestleMania last year.
Plus, you got the stuff going on at Roman too.
Exactly. So it's just like, okay,
They're-
he kind of needs to finish off the stuff with Roman. Drew, I don't want to write off Drew quite yet because there's at least history with him and Rock. Because I mean, if you remember, Rock did, he gave him a new sword for one.
Yeah.
But it's like, he was the one that like made it a big deal to be like, hey, we re-signed you, Drew, and all
Yeah.
that. Like he did make a big deal about that, and like even with Drew, like, yeah, he's kind of on this like bloodline hunt right now, but it's not towards The Rock. It's towards like Roman and his cronies and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like they could use Drew as a piece to get to Rock Roman. So that could be a thing right there. But again, like that's basically using Drew for another feud and all that stuff. So like, but I still don't want to quite write off Drew yet because they're also planting seeds for Drew versus Cody down the line.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. Like Cena would be the big one. Like, because I mean, you look at Cena and Rock's past for one, with their feud that they had, and even last year when they had their little moment at WrestleMania 40. But like, again, it's just like what you were saying, the whole press conference, the way he was talking, the thing he was saying, like Cena is gonna be the most desperate to get that accolade, and he already lost the Royal Rumble, and I mean he could still have a babyface triumph over in Elimination Chamber. That's fine and all that, because like if we're telling this story very similar to Vince and Austin from WrestleMania 17, we're not going to know who took Rock's side until WrestleMania, until we get that swerve when because I could literally see it being played out in my head, very similar to what happened at 17 when Stone Cold took that chair from Vince and used it on The Rock. Like, I could see something similar where Cena takes that from The Rock and uses it on Cody and ends up winning 17 that way. Now, you want to get some nuclear heat, you want to get some unfathomable heat, you do it like that, because you can even play off the whole idea of like Super Cena too. Beyond that, it's like, okay, I got back to the top of the mountain, Super Cena still lives, and I mean maybe at SummerSlam Cody takes the title back from Cena, or
gets it back.
Oh yeah, no, he'll definitely get it back. Like that's just a question of when, not if, But like, yeah, there's so many different avenues we can go to, but I mean, the whole idea here again is just that act of desperation. Who's desperate enough to become the final boss's champion?
Yeah.
But Vash, you have any thoughts about like, because me and Drop lay down a bunch of theories. I want to bring it to you now. Like anything like kind of turn a gear in your mind, anything that kind of like made you be like, huh, you know what? Maybe this swerve too.
I like what you guys brought up when it comes to The Rock and the one comparison I would say, it reminds me of what happened with the Authority. I believe it was Seth Rollins turning side with Triple H. I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me. So it kind of reminds me a bit of The Rock trying to get, Cody to join the Authority, the press, like the hierarchy in that side to join, like kind of like his version of the head of the table, but instead of the head of the table in the wrestling side, we have like head of the business, for Cody. So I wonder if that's something that The Rock is doing. We haven't seen Roman also come back, so I wonder if he feels offended about all this. So I'm curious to see if he gets involved in this type, since we haven't seen him since Royal Rumble, and we were told by Paul Heyman that he would not be here for a while, and I believe Michael Cole said that he will be out for like indefinitely. So that's my interesting comparison. The Vince and Steve Austin is a good one. From the one that it's current one, I would say, Triple H and Seth Rollins. What will happen by Elimination Chamber of WrestleMania is to be determined. I like your guys' theory. I really can't wait to see which one do we lead to, and what's the curveball that Triple H and The Rock is trying to give us, and if we miss anything that comes out of left field.
Yeah. And like just to kind of pull another one out of left field and swerve bro, we could get another alternate swerve where maybe it is Cody that does go for the Rock's little deal, but like maybe we get the swerve like, oh, Cody's not going to go for it. He kind of denies the Rock at Elimination Chamber, but it could be a ploy. And it's like, okay, well, because like you still have the story of like Cena trying to get 17. Well, what if it's the Rock helping Cody to keep Cena away from getting 17? Like you could always twist the story that way too. But I mean, I don't know about that one either. But again, it's just another possibility that we could just kind of think about and maybe process maybe a way that we get through that and maybe that story going forward. Because like when you look at some of the competitors that Cody has in line for him, I mean, they've been really kind of pushing Damian Priest towards Cody Rhodes, and Damian Priest is a face right now. Like, yeah, we could get face versus face, but I mean, Codelander can become a thing. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say with that. But again, that's just a different side of the coin, just a different viewpoint, if you will. But like a ton of theories we can go through. We can spend probably hours upon hours on end to talk about all this. But like one thing I do want to bring up too is just like the nature of this promo and this segment and all that. Like it did feel very thrown together because Rock was he was repeating himself a lot. He was kind of meandering a bit during his promo and all that.
Yeah.
So I recognize that as well. So it's like, okay, they didn't really have time to like look at what they're gonna say or practice any promo works, or like it felt very bulletin like yeah, like bullet point like. So it's like, all right, we need to hit this point, hit the point, hit that point. So cool, neat, awesome. We got through that. But yeah, I do see that because like that's kind of how the Raw after Mania felt with those two. It's just like, okay, we need to just hit these points and then move on with our day. But yeah, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Again, I'm not a master of the pro work. I'm just a consumer and all that. But any other thoughts with all this? Because like I know we could spend all night theorizing about where we can go and all that, but I mean, I think we might have hit a lot of big points that I think we've all been thinking about, and like some stuff I've seen online too.
I'll say at the moment I don't have my tinfoil hat on. I don't have any more
Yeah.
theories. You guys spoke enough for me, and that am I am behind you guys on the possibilities of where it's coming in the next 2 months. Since I know a lot of people
Mhm.
have been disappointed on the road to WrestleMania, so I
Mhm.
understand and curious to see what people think. But right at the moment, I'm behind on what you guys have spoken about so far.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all
All
I
right.
really have for now.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll theory craft as we move on down our road towards WrestleMania. So we're gonna continue on because like SmackDown was more than just The Rock coming out and being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
New Orleans, you're getting WrestleMania again. Cool, neat, awesome. See you guys later." We had some other stuff going on, but we're gonna stick kind of with this bloodline stuff. Our main event tonight was Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu taking on Damian Priest and Braun Strowman. Now, this was originally going to be a six-man tag with Cody and Tama Tonga thrown in, but it changed because, hey, Rock's got to be involved with things and all that. But this match kind of had a few segments before we started to kind of set things up for the night. So, like, first of all, Solo came to the arena and he saw Tama Tonga, he saw Jacob Fatu. It's just like, hey, look, the spike last week was an accident, my bad and all that stuff. And I love how Jacob Fatu he stands on business. He's just like, yeah, you're lucky it was an accident. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now. I'm like, oh, that's the Jacob Fatu I love. That's the man that's just like, keeping it real, keeping it on business. Yes, good. And also acknowledging, hey, this was an accident. It's one of those things where I'm like, okay, good. You're having your characters acknowledge that accidents happen and all that stuff. So this is leading to tonight because at first Solo's like, yeah, you and Tama are going to take care of Priest and Braun. Jacob's like, nah, Tama's taking the night off. It's you and me. And one comment though is like Jacob said, "Oh yeah, we're running stuff on SmackDown," but it's like, have they won a tag team match? Him and Tama Tonga? Like, I don't think they have.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
don't recall.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't really recall either. So it's just like, okay, that line kind of threw me off. Where I'm like,
They might have maybe
all
once
right.
or twice, but I'm not really thinking like too deep into it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things that's just like, okay, we need to process that for the time being. But anyways, and then another segment, we just had Braun kind of showing humility towards Damian Priest, being like, hey, you got me last week, but, I almost had it won, blah, blah, blah. And so they're going to stand on business tonight with this tag team match. So during the match, Solo tries to basically run shot, be a leader and all that, but Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu kind of have things on lockdown. I mean, there was that moment Tama Tonga just like he distracts Braun Strowman, and Jacob Fatu just comes out of nowhere, destroys him into the timekeeper's area. But I mean, yeah, again, typical tag team match with SmackDown and all that.
Sorry.
And Fatu accidentally kicking Solo Sikoa, leading to the finish of the match. I guess let's start with the match. What do you think of the match? Like, did it kind of stand out to you as something big, or was it just another loss for Jacob Fatu in a tag team match?
I thought it was a fun match, but I feel like the story really coming into this match is whatever's going on between Solo and Jacob Fatu right now, because this is pretty much a story being played off from last week where you had Solo coming in wanting to help Jacob qualify for the chamber so he can get a shot at Cody's title to take it, but you ended up having shenanigans play out because of what happened with Cody that following week. He came out there to prevent Solo doing for what he was doing. And then that led into the whole entire thing where he was going for the Samoan spike. It hit Tama Tonga. Jacob Fatu saw it, got frustrated, which pretty much plays into what you went over with that interaction earlier. And then getting more into that when it comes to the match itself. Like, you had some cooperation there, here and there. But the whole story coming out of this was, okay, you got Solo doing something last week. Now you got Jacob Fatu doing something this week where he kicks Solo. So now that following Friday, you're going to have some story playing into that where it's like Solo's going to confront him. He'd be like, oh, why'd you hit me? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? It was an accident. You might hear that from Jacob, or it could just be, like I mentioned to you earlier, he's just up front and just maybe tells him straight up that he didn't really care or whatever, because that's one of the things I really like about Jacob Fatu's character, the way he's structured, is that he's not one of those people that just ignores things and moves on. Like, it actually sticks with him. He's upfront about a lot of things, and I really appreciate that when it comes to how characters are written. And I really like how the story is being played out with Jacob and Solo so far. That's probably like one of the other things that I really like about SmackDown. Like, besides, how it's like been missing a lot recently, that's something I definitely do like, is like the little wrinkles that's going on between the both of them. And I'm just curious to see how that's going to play out with Jacob and Solo. Like, obviously it's leading to a Mania match, that's obvious, but it's like very curious to see how they're going to structure that, because they got a lot of time to tell this story. They got like 9 weeks until WrestleMania to really stretch this out. It's not like it's the beginning of April like it's been with WrestleMania. Like, you're actually having it at like 2 or 3 weeks in when it comes to WrestleMania this year. So they got a lot of time to really flesh this out. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to evolve. Another thing you got to keep in mind as well is how we saw Solo. He was all in his gear. Jacob was all in his gear. They were doing like, those special entrances with the superstars coming out. Solo started talking but then Jacob ended up talking over him, and then Jacob's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, play my music." They come out to his music, so it's like
Yep.
you even have that to throw in there when it comes to like the story that's going on between the both of them as well, which I really do appreciate what they're doing. Nothing
Mhm.
complex or anything, but I really do like how it's structured so far.
Yeah. Oh, same here. Because like, and especially with Jacob Fatu, and it mainly his mannerisms throughout this story so far. Because like when he super kicks Solo, he basically looks at him just like, all right, you know what? That was an accident, but you
Didn't give a
kind of
shit.
deserved it too
Yeah,
for
he didn't
last week.
care.
So it's just like, okay, yeah, that happened. Fine,
Didn't get
whatever.
it.
And just like what you had said when like Solo tries to pull one of those promos, but Jacob Fatu just cuts him off. It's just like, nah, we're gonna be in this here. We're locked in. We're gassed up. We're on fire now. Hit my music. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was such a good part too, because like it's him taking charge over Solo, being like,
yeah.
because it's gonna lead into that eventuality of I loved you, Solo.
He didn't even say where he says he
Um,
hates him.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, he could say,
Because
I
that's another
hate
thing.
you,
That's another thing
Solo.
to throw in there as well. It's the
Hmm.
fact that he hasn't said "I love you" to Solo ever since he came back, and ever since all
Yeah.
these shenanigans play out. This is the second week in a row that he said that to Jacob, and Jacob hasn't responded.
Yep. Yep. And which I love too, because like even before Solo had left after losing to Roman, like he wasn't really saying that to Jacob that much. Like it was mainly just Jacob saying that to Solo, and like Solo's trying that mind manipulation kind of thing, but
Hmm.
Jacob isn't as dumb as he thinks he is, and that just plays into his character so well with like, especially when Jay was going after Solo, being like, why'd you have to call these guys? Like, there's a reason we don't talk to Jacob Fatu. There's a reason we don't have him around as part of our group. It's the fact that not only is he a beast, but he's a smart beast. He knows things. He's not an idiot. He's not just some unga bunga caveman going around, beating people up and all
Yeah,
that. No, he understands what's going on. He's not just a blind follower of Solo. Like he believed in Solo, and then once Solo failed, I don't think it was mainly just like the failure that bothered Jacob. It's the fact that Solo just left after the failure.
yeah,
Like he didn't own up to it. He didn't keep it real or anything. Like he just kind of he almost ran away a bit, with
yeah.
his tail tucked between his legs. And in an environment like that, you can't really do that because then another alpha male is going to come in and take your spot. So, but Vash, what did you think of the main event? Were you able to catch the main event, or see any of the segments going into
So
everything with like Solo and Jacob?
I saw everything that was the Solo and Jacob except the main event itself. I saw
Okay.
the 1 minute clip I saw online. But you said it perfectly that I feel like when it comes to Jacob Fatu, he's the type of character that he will follow you to the end of the world. But once you do that mistake of no communication, or like you say, you disappear, you abandon, Jacob Fatu will be like, "Word, you gone? All right, cool. We need a new alpha. We need a new leader. And there's nobody taking the seat at the table. I'm going to take the seat for myself, and I'm going to take charge, and
Yeah.
we're going to head to a new direction." So I understand that when it comes to Jacob Fatu, like the character of him, and like you want change, you want improvement, and like he even told Cody Rhodes in a mic promo last week or 2 weeks ago, was it? He said that title needs to go back to the bloodline, but said sadly, Jay, it is you that will be doing that. So we have to see how that turns out. When
Hmm.
it comes to the first interaction, I love how Solo didn't seem too weak when it comes to Jacob Fatu. First time having a promo back to back, and showing that they're on the same level. Even when it comes to Solo saying, "And that's why I love you, Jacob." I know a lot
Hmm.
of people are theorizing that we're gonna hear Jacob Fatu saying the line saying, "And I don't love you, Solo." So I know we're gonna
Hmm.
get that soon. I know that's a lot of speculation from the audience and the fans. Do I think that's a possibility? Yes, but I really am want this to. I don't want this to be milk out, like, for example, for any anime fans, the Naruto to Boruto. I don't want it to be milk out that badly, but I want this to be dragging out
Right.
for character development between Solo, who hasn't spoken too much, but been speaking to character wise over the past 8 months, a year, and when it comes to Jacob, who's being very dominant strength. He's going against the big guys, Braun Strowman, Damian Priest,
Hmm.
and who was it else? Yeah, I just had to make sure the 2 points because I remember it was a 3-man.
Yeah.
So seeing that with these opponents being the case and him being at the main event with Jacob Fatu already main eventing SmackDown and not being
Hmm.
a tribal chief, he's being a tribal werewolf, which I don't think they even have yet call him that. That's only his shirt merch. So it just shows how much they believe in him. And when it comes to the Damian Priest and Braun Strowman conversation, I like how it was two big guys trying to say who's more dominant. It just felt like of that saying,
Hmm.
who has the bigger pride in the room, or if a guy says should be straightforward, chat, my apologies, who has the bigger cock in the room? That's how it is.
Yeah.
Like who's the bigger one, and it shows the dominance. Like this is a aggressive sport, so it comes to that. And to the main event, to what I couldn't see, I know you guys cover it well. And when it comes to the 1 minute highlight scene, I saw that
Mm.
Jacob Fatu attack Solo accidental. Those things are
Hmm.
gonna happen because they're gonna spark feud. They're gonna spark mishaps and questionable character traits between each other, and it's gonna speculate over the next couple weeks. Do I think
Yeah.
that if this is gonna be coming in 1-on-1 for WrestleMania, that's a possibility.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a strong possibility for that. So, yeah, we'll have to keep seeing how the story plays out and all that. I think we're in a good starting point with it. Just spoon feeding us some of these different characterizations of Solo and Jacob Fatu going forward, and whatever Tama Tonga ends up doing at WrestleMania, hey, all for it here and all that. But yeah, so we're gonna stick with the bloodline a bit because we had Jimmy Uso taking on Drew McIntyre as our first match tonight. And, this was a hard fought match from both competitors, but Jimmy actually wins with a surprise roll up from like that reverse Alabama slam that Drew McIntyre tries to do. And this pisses Drew McIntyre off to the point where, he beats down Jimmy at the end of the match and he almost does like he's about to do like this claymore, but it's like he has Jimmy on the ground and his head's like right by the turnbuckle corner, like the metal part that people like to throw,
Alabama Slam,
head
right?
first into and all that. And it looks like he's about to set up a claymore onto Jimmy, like onto that corner of the like that corner post and all that. But of course security have to come in and Drew of course gets around them and hits a regular claymore onto Jimmy. But yeah, he's trying to get his heat back and all that stuff. But how'd you guys feel about Drew McIntyre losing in the way he did, like in a surprise roll up kind of fashion? Vash, I'm gonna start with you with this one.
So when it comes to this match, I will say it's to be expected because Drew McIntyre, he has enough stock. We know that he has become a
Hmm.
champion. Drew has enough main event talent. He has main evented PLEs. He has main evented WrestleMania. He has enough stock that even if he loses, he has a good feud with CM Punk recently. So he has enough stock behind him right now. With Jimmy Uso right now, he has been a single competitor since early last year, since Jay and him broke up. But we haven't had enough win for him or done anything solo by himself. And with Jimmy winning over Drew, that's a huge thing. This was a good 11-minute match, start of the night, and
Hmm.
it was a not saying a clean win, but it was a clean upset is what I call it. And
Okay.
Drew McIntyre, rightfully so, knowing him, his character has a bad temper. He ggets upset when things don't go his way. And like I forgot who said it tonight, but they said that Drew doesn't know how to control his emotions and always reacting, and that's what Drew did. And with Jimmy, he had to take the L and get the beat up. To me, it's rightfully so with Jimmy too, because a lot of people are also speculating maybe if Jay wins over Gunther at WrestleMania, it'll be a nice twist. If Jimmy wins like the U.S. title or something, so it'll be probably be a helpful way with Jimmy to start getting some wins over stock, and we're trying to get him over as well with no yeet. So I feel like it's
Yeah.
rightfully so. So, Drop, I want to ask you, how did you feel about this? Did you care for Jimmy finally trying to build some stock as well?
Not necessarily, because you can't really just clown on Jimmy over and over and over again and get away with it, especially with what we saw transpire last week with Drew McIntyre and Jimmy Uso backstage. Because they're obviously playing into the whole story of Drew not being able to like control his emotions when it comes to certain scenarios that he places himself in. So something like this happening didn't surprise me. I know there's some people online where they're like, "Oh, why did Drew lose this match? Is he losing momentum? Are we really going here with this?" I don't really see how it harms Drew's character. Drew's another character that I would say is pretty bulletproof, where you could do a couple things to him and it's not going to have any dents in his armor. So when you have Drew walk into the elimination chamber, I'm pretty sure the dude's going to be okay, just because he gets a win, or just because Jimmy Uso gets a win over him, because he's been clowning him for like the past couple weeks or so. I mean, it's only bound to happen. It's not gonna damage Drew's reputation in the slightest, because no matter if he won tonight or he lost tonight, it's not gonna really change the difference for what's gonna be happening next week. It's not like somebody's gonna get like a fucking birthday card and a cupcake or some stupid shit like that. Like, it's not worth complaining over. I did see that complaint. I didn't really understand it. Not gonna hurt Drew, because you also got to build up Jimmy too. Drew's in the chamber.
Yeah.
He's set. You got to start doing something with Jimmy. I will say, don't keep doing this, because I don't want to keep seeing Jimmy and Drew. I will say that. Don't keep doing that, because it's also another reason why I didn't really care to see Liv and Naomi tonight, which we'll dive into a little bit later, only because we've seen it before. And they have their match next week, which, like I said, we'll talk about that later. But it's like, I'm okay with this, and I liked the little angle that played out where he went after Jimmy after the match and he hit the Claymore and left and everything. I'm just very curious to see like the overall direction for Drew heading into WrestleMania, because it's like we talked about the rumor of him and Priest. They haven't had any interactions. They weren't butting heads in the back. Even when, who was it? I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Even when Damian Priest mentioned like Drew during that little segment, there hasn't really been anything built up ever since that other rumor came out about the pivot with Drew's potential WrestleMania direction. So it's like, I don't even know if that's really in the cards anymore, with like all these different kind of things going on in WWE. I mean, look what fucking happened with The Rock tonight. So we don't really know if things are going to be shifted just to fit that certain storyline, just to have a certain set of characters for that. But, you know, the match, it was, it did what it needed to do, really. It wasn't anything out there I could really say. That was amazing. Not something you're not going to, it's not something that you're going to see me going back on the DVR and watch. That's for sure. But I'm hoping that, at least in Jimmy's case, this kind of pushes him maybe into that picture like Vash brought up about Jimmy kind of getting that rub like his brother did, winning the U.S. title or something along the lines of that. Like, I'm hoping we get some sort of indication of where Jimmy's headed. Oh.
Yeah, hopefully we know or get a better picture of it, because I mean we'll dive into like some of the U.S. title picture later on where that might be going, because like I don't know how we would even get to Jimmy with the U.S. title either, with the whole Drew stuff going on right now. And Drew's WrestleMania opponent or his plans and all that kind of seem up in the air too. It's like, okay, what's Drew gonna be doing? You know, are we gonna continue this kind of bloodline headhunt that he's on, or is he actually gonna move on from that for something with like a Damian Priest or something? I don't know, because again, they haven't really interacted much. But maybe next week in Toronto for Elimination Chamber, we'll have a better idea, a better picture of where things are going for some of those guys in the chamber, like if they're not going to be winning, you know, like your Drew McIntyres, like your Damian Priest, hell, even like your Logan Pauls and all that. So
Yeah.
I think after next week we'll have a better idea of the landscape for WrestleMania, both on the men's and the women's side.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're done with this part, you know, we can continue on with our women's side, because we had our women's champion tonight taking on Candice LeRae in singles action. Now, before the match, Tiffany Stratton got on the mic and she basically ran down
Mhm.
both Candice LeRae and Nia Jax and Charlotte a little bit tonight.
I definitely think
And
shit.
the main thing with the Charlotte part is, because we've heard reports of this part too before, how like that this whole idea of a top girl and all that, and how Tiffany's coming for that spot, something that Charlotte craves the most, which I get that aspect of it, because, you know, Charlotte wants to be the top girl and all that, but you can only be the top if you're the champion and all that. And right now,
Yeah.
Tiffany's that. So
Yeah.
that seems to be the story that we're leaning towards with this, which is fine, you know, because that's what it should be. That's all what that title is about. And of course, Nia and Candice come out. They want to destroy Tiffany before the match, but that's not happening thanks to the ref and all that.
Yeah.
Any comments on like this beginning segment before we get into the match itself?
I'll say this though. I really
Mhm.
want to know like when we're gonna get into the overall groundwork when it comes to Tiffany, because
Mhm.
it's pretty apparent that Charlotte's gonna be the heel in this feud. So I'm curious to see exactly how things are gonna be grounded with Tiffany. Like we got a little thing tonight with her cutting that promo on Charlotte and everything,
Mhm.
but she kind of still sounds like Tiffany. Kind of still sounds like the same character in a way. So I'm
Mhm.
very curious to see exactly like what's gonna come out of this match that she has with Trish against Nia and Candice to really elevate the feud. Because, you know, like we see on Raw
Mhm.
of like Gunther and Jay, you know, you got a low build with that going on. Charlotte's really just sitting on the sideline and watching all of this happen, or she
Yeah.
coming down to the ring. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it just to get thoughts since I'm already on it. Like, how many more times are we really gonna see Tiff on the floor whenever Charlotte's there, cutting a promo,
Yeah.
saying this, saying that? Because like I get the whole thing that Charlotte's a 14-time champion, and realistically, if you look at it that way, I guess it sort of makes sense why she's in that position where she's on top and Tiffany's on the bottom. But I feel like that
Mhm.
just continues to show us again that um like JD was saying last week when we had that first interaction that happened when Charlotte chose Tiffany as her WrestleMania opponent. He said, you know, this is your weekly PSA announcement, and he even did it today on his tweets. And I'm pretty sure he's talking about it in his review now because he
Oh
probably
yeah.
talked about that whole entire segment with Charlotte and Tiffany. But he even said, you know, this is your weekly PSA announcement. We said it last week. Tiffany needs to go over in Charlotte. He said it again this week, and I'm saying the same thing as well. I
Mhm.
agree with him. You can't
Yeah.
have Tiffany. I'm not saying it's going to be like this the entire build because we're still early in, but just giving your input because I'm allowed to do that. Um, you can't have her looking like a little kid throughout this entire thing, constantly, you know,
Mhm.
kind of looking like a joke. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's done by design, but at the same time, we can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
She's got to get the edge sometime within this feud itself. You got to have
Mhm.
some sort of spark. Like hopefully, in post chamber, you know, you get a little bit with that because I don't know. I just as of right now, I
Mhm.
kind of want to see just them, really. I mean, I guess we're gonna get that
Yeah.
post chamber, but I just don't. I'm really hoping, and I'll be straight up with you guys. I'll be there on the coverage whenever this match happens, night 1, night 2. If Charlotte goes over, and I love Charlotte, she's a great talent, she did a lot for the business, but I'm just gonna say it as it is. If she goes over, I'm not gonna be happy.
That is 3 of us right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
There's 3 of us. I know all 3
I
of us will be
can't
the
like
same page.
sugarcoat it and be like, I'm okay with this. It makes sense. There could be a chase out of this. Like, I can't really see how that makes sense. Isn't the whole chase technically, in a way, even though Tiffany's a champion, is to prove that she could be at an equal playing field like Charlotte, at least in a way where she's able to enter that stratosphere where she could actually be one of the people like on the top of the food chain with all of these new players, like we spoke about on our shows about, Lyra potentially getting that down the line, or somebody that's already there, like somebody that recently broke out.
Yeah, because it's like when you look at it, it's like okay. So correct me with this. Tiffany's faced Bailey before, right?
Yes.
And has she beaten Bailey? I can't recall if she did or not.
I know she had a match, I believe, like before the Royal Rumble. Maybe it was like that Friday.
Okay.
She put her title that she was the first defense, and she beat her.
Okay, good. So my short-term memory remembered that. Good, perfect, excellent. So she's already faced one of the horsewomen. Well, she's faced 2 of them because she lost to Becky. Yeah. So like, she still needs to face Becky and beat her to like, complete the set. I mean, well, complete the set means Mercedes comes back, but that's years down the line, I guess. But it's like, as of current right now, she's beaten one of them. She lost to Becky, so they'll need to run that back. But like Charlotte is, like you kind of alluded to, kind of the final boss in a way. Almost like she's the pinnacle because I'm the 14-time champion, and like. I feel like they are trying to tell that story of like, okay, Charlotte's always going to be looking down on Tiffany, whether it's like her just standing in front of her, in her tall heels and all that, or if Tiffany's just writhing on the ground like that, and I feel like they're going to keep telling that story until Mania, when hopefully Tiffany goes over.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, because like that's the thing, and you hit the nail right on the head. The story here is for Tiffany to prove that she is a champion, that she is on top of the food chain, and that she belongs on top. Now, and I'm going to try to transition this to the match itself with Candice. And I mean, Candice is a great talent. Like, don't get me wrong when I say what I'm about to say, but when you look at her in comparison to like the pecking order, she should not have been like on top as she was throughout the whole match. Like, it kind of just started off with Candice just on top the whole time during the match. Like, yeah, Tiffany had her spots and all that, but like from like the start to like almost the middle part, it was all Candice throughout. And it's like, well, this is your women's champion you're having, Like, I get, Tiffany has to level up and all that, but like, she's about to have a WrestleMania match with Charlotte. Like, I'm not saying,
really,
the biggest match of her career. And like, I'm not saying you need to squash Candice or anything, because I don't want Candice to look bad either and all that, but it's like, maybe make it seem a little bit more in Tiffany's favor. Like, I mean, you had freaking Nia out there running distraction to get that. Like, I mean, you do that all the time with your matches. So it's just like, it kind of took me away at the start of the match to be like, okay, well, Candice is on top now, like the whole time almost. But Tiffany was able to at least come out and all that and pick up the win, as she should. Too. But what was that? Sorry.
That moonsault that Charlotte normally does. I know that was done by design because Charlotte normally does. I'm not entirely sure she's going to do that again because of the injuries. She might. But
yeah, she might. But
that was a little rough spot. Like, I thought she hit something when she went down there. She seemed okay, but I guess it could just be one of those things where it's like you have a perfect dance partner in the ring. And this isn't discrediting like any of the wrestlers in the business, because they do what they need to do. They're trained professionals and everything.
No.
But it could just be one of those things where it's like Tiffany and Candice don't really mix well together. That's a sort of
Yeah.
that feeling I had with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Vash, do you have any comments about the match before, because again, like the match was like it was a good match.
Mhm.
It's just, when you look at, some of the structures of the match, it's like, okay, well, should Candice really be starting the match on top for most of it, or, should it be vice versa? But talk to me, Vash. What are you thinking
So,
about everything that's going on?
so you bring a good point because while you guys were looking, I'm here doing some research, and I'm like,
Hmm.
who do we have to replace Candice as another heel or opponent? Because right now we have Charlotte Flair, who's the tweener from this website that I'm looking at from the characters
Hmm.
of SmackDown, and we have Candice LeRae as a heel. We have Chelsea Green, Elektra Lopez, which I'm sure she's just got released. I don't know why
Yeah.
they still have her there. Nia Jackson, Piper Niven. So right now, Piper Niven and already has a promo or like a whole segment going on still with Chelsea Green. She's a U.S. champion, so she's not gonna be fighting, uh, Tiffany Stratton. When it comes to Nia Jax, she's also involved with this. When it comes to the face, we have other options, but none of them are built enough to actually fight.
Hmm.
And why? What do we want to face versus face? So it sucks that we have the same rinse and repeat of characters, and that's the most the not saying they're disappointing, but is what makes it feel flat. With like, hey, Candice LeRae, she's great as a mid carder, where she will succeed in the U.S. champion, but right now she's up with being toe, like you said, being over against Alger Tiffany Stratton, which I'm a bit confused as well myself. Like throughout the
Hmm.
match, I was impressed by Candice LeRae because for those that don't know, she is a title holder. But she's a title holder of the social media titles, what I'll call it, because it's for
Mhm.
speed,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
but we never see it on TV because it's only for it's only for social media title like X/Twitter. So when it comes to her being on top over this match, I feel like it should have been not, because if we want our girl, Tiffany, to see him on top, but like Drop said earlier, for the story, we have Charlotte Flair being on top every week, and I know that it's gonna crumble probably a couple weeks before WrestleMania to make us feel like, hey, Tiffany is coming out back on top. She's gonna show that
Yeah.
she don't have to worry about it. But the one thing that I
Hmm.
got confused is that we had Trish come out at the fucking end. So are we gonna get a impromptu tag team match at the Elimination Chamber?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
that's already
was
set.
Oh,
yeah
it's set? I
that
totally, I
was
totally
Yeah,
missed
that
that.
was set last. Yeah.
yeah. Last week there was an angle that played out where Tiffany had a match with Naya, and then it ended up being like a disqualification, which I even told Watkins they could have done the exact
Yeah.
same shit outside of that disqualification with the match. Like you could have had Tiffany win, and then you could have pulled that angle of her and Candice got in there and
Hmm.
beat her up, and Trish came out. You didn't necessarily need a DQ for that or whatever. But yeah,
No.
this is pretty much playing into that angle where Trish came out to help Tiffany, and her and
Yeah.
Tiffany are taking on Naya and Candice at the Elimination Chamber, and more than likely, of course,
Hmm.
they're probably gonna win. But
You would
I'm
assume so.
just
Yeah.
I guess this sort of plays off to what me and you talked about with grappling with the week. And I'll probably say this
Oh,
with
yeah.
like
Last night. Yep.
the other women's segment that we have like under quick fire segments. I just want there
Hmm.
to be a good story when it comes to the ladies, because I already know Tiffany and Charlotte's going to be a great match at WrestleMania. We already
Yeah.
know that heading into that, it's probably going to be a great match. I mean, look at the match Rhea and Charlotte had 2 years ago. So I'm not necessarily worried about the match. I'm just hoping that there's like a compelling story leading into Mania. Because as much as
Hmm.
we love the men when they have a lot of compelling stories that we talk about on the channel, I feel like the women also deserve that opportunity too, where we
Yeah.
have a compelling story. It doesn't have to be like super crazy and going on all these different kinds of routes. But I'm hoping it's more than just like, oh, I'm the top girl. You're always going to be down. on the ground, and I'm always going to be standing above you saying, hey Tiffy, doing this and that. Like, I'm just hoping that you really sit these two down and like really start getting things together, because one of the things I would personally do, and this is just me giving ideas to really structure a little bit better, I would try to pull things kind of similar to what Alexa Bliss did when she had feuds with Charlotte Flair, where she's like, oh, what's Charlotte Flair fought a title? She still, till this day, never gave Alexa that answer when they had that feud. So Tiffany could easily pull one of those things where it's like, okay, you come back, you win the Rumble, you want to be in the title picture again. Here I am, coming from NXT, winning the Money in the Bank, actually qualifying, winning Money in the Bank, securing my shot to get this, through hard work. Tiffany could easily just play it and be like, well, I worked hard to get this way. Not saying Charlotte hasn't either, but, just throwing personal shots at one another could make things a little bit more interesting. Or it could just be one of those things where it's like, oh, you're saying you're the top girl and all this, but why is somebody so young as me, like, why are you so jealous? You have more accolades as me. Why are you so jealous? Because I have this title.
Yeah.
Make it personal, make it like captivating. It doesn't have to be like super complex or anything, but that's the only thing I'm really missing out of this story. I don't want it just to be, I've been here for years and you're the fucking freshman in high school. It's kind of like a senior picking on a freshman in high school. This is what this fucking storyline as of right now feels so far. And like I said, nothing against the performers. We normally attack the creative when it comes to like the criticism about these storylines, but that was like one of the main things I really wanted to just give my thoughts on when it came to those main talking points of like matches and segments throughout here, because this has a lot of potential, and Charlotte and Rhea really created magic all those years ago, and I really hope the same thing can happen for Tiffany so they can create another star. This is what you need to do.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at just last year with Bailey and Io.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want about the build, but like even the match itself, like that shot. I mean, she lost, but like that shot Io up tremendously with her in-ring stock. I mean, we already knew she was good, and same with Bailey and all that. But like, just I mean, that counter of the Rose plant just lives rent free in my head. I mean, at that point, hell, you could have had Io win the match, and I would have been like, all right, fine. Cool, neat, excellent. Just for that moment alone. But Bailey did need the win because it was her time for a big WrestleMania moment and all that. But luckily we have plenty of time, I think, to cook and all that. So hopefully they do cook that meal, as you were talking about, Drop, where we can be satisfied and savor the flavor as we dine on our WrestleMania devourment. But we're gonna move on now, because like there's a lot of other stories to kind of maybe dive into, or kind of hope we dive more into. Let's talk about our tag team titles. Let's talk about our tag teams going on, because we did have a couple other tag team matches tonight. Playa, holla, holla, everyone. We had the tag team titles on the line, as DIY were finally going to give Pretty Deadly their shot after they lost last week in that impromptu match and all that. But okay, I like how this match started, because it had DIY coming out being like, okay, let's do our moment of silence thing, which I guess is gonna be their thing going forward, is this whole moment of silence for X thing going on. But Pretty Deadly come out for the pre-match attack, and I like too how they had the music and the disco ball still out and playing during the pre-match beatdown.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like things like that, because it's like, oh yeah, let's just keep it going. Fuck it, we're not gonna keep a whole song playing. Like I forgot what event it was for AEW, where they had a Stadium Stampede match and they kept playing the entrance music for like 5 minutes, and you're just sitting there like, okay, can we stop the music now? We got the point. It's cool now. Awesome.
Ooh.
There's not much I have to say about the match, because it ended in a DQ because of the Street Profits coming out. And even with Motor City Machine Guns trying to even the odds, Street Profits still took them out. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we're setting up for like a 4-man or possibly 5-team match at WrestleMania or what, but yeah, we're trying to get all the tag teams thrown together into, I guess, a big match. But what are you guys thinking about, I guess, this next predicament?
If I make a first drop, the one thing I would say about this Street Profits thing, last year we had I believe a 6-man tag for the ladder for the tag team of the Raw and Smackdown titles, and then they got renamed. Look, last year was great. It was a good experience. We needed to do something to differentiate the titles. Great opportunity, great time, and then easy for the storytelling. This time, don't give me a fucking fatal 5-way. Build up the story of having an actual tournament or something condition, because look, those fatal 5-way of WrestleMania, they cook the street, the last man standing, whatever it is, the stipulation, they will cook. I cannot imagine how great it will be. I know that. But I want to see a one-on-one. I want to see where tag team, even a triple threat, I'm okay with. But more than that, it feels like it will be getting already stuff, and that's not what I'm craving right now for my tag team. I don't know if you guys are different to that. I can't wait to hear that. But when it comes to my winner, I want my Street Profits to finally get the win. It's been, I believe Michael Cole said it last time, 4 years. I believe 2021 was the last time they had gold. So that's something that I really miss with them. And Street Profits has been on a roller coaster of hot then cold, then hot then cold. Not saying cold in a bad way, but it's because other people take their spots or because they get injured in the backstage and then somebody else take their spots one way or another. So when it comes to DQ, I was a bit disappointed, but then okay, cool. It needed to happen since this was, a match that we knew that the Pretty Deadly were not gonna win, and this needs to continue being the feud for DIY. For a second, I drew blank at the names. I'm like, what the names? It's 3 letters. DIY. And I know that with Johnny Gargano and Campia, he's gonna continue doing their thing. I'm sure that once they lose the titles, they're gonna break up into single competitors, because this has been helping them build their stock as a tag team and their stock as individuals. So I'm sure that I would love to see a US title on Campia. I'd love to see it on him. It will all work fucking perfectly when the time comes. But that's all I have for my thoughts about this, honestly, because I want Street Profits to win. I want a one-on-one, maybe at most a triple threat for WrestleMania. And for the match itself, a Pretty Deadly and DIY was good. I believe this match was only, a 10-minute match, I believe it was.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Oh, no, it was shorter. Holy fuck. Yeah. It was 6 minutes and 15 seconds. This match was shorter. No wonder. Because I believe they had a commercial break during this, so probably that's why it threw me off or something. Probably. It was a short match. Yeah. It was a short match. No wonder, because I feel like I was mad about it, but it makes sense because it was so short of a 6-minute fucking match in a 3-hour SmackDown. Why do we have a tag team champions having such a short match? That threw me off. Yes, I remember why I was frustrated. But yeah.
At least it wasn't like a 15-20-minute match like, the whole Tiffany Nia Jax one was almost. Where that ended in a DQ, so at least it wasn't that. But Drop, I know you've made some comments about like these multi-person matches at Mania, so I guess I'll turn to you for the rebuttal on this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't want them to just throw a whole bunch of people together just to put them on the card, because it's okay if you want to give them a special showcase on a Raw or a SmackDown before Mania, have them do their thing. Because even Nick Aldis is doing that with Chelsea Green next week. They're going to be in Toronto. He's giving her a little moment there because she's not going to be on the card. So I'm honestly hoping they just think of things properly before they just throw DIY, Pretty Deadly, and the Motor City Machine Guns and Street Profits all in a match, because we've seen it before. We don't need it. We don't need a ladder match. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, the beef is really between DIY and Street Profits, so just play off of that, really, because you have the whole story about who attacked them when they went out, and how things really transpired ever since then when they returned at the Royal Rumble. So it's like just play into that. It's like a lot of these things that we've seen, it's like right in front of them, and they sometimes don't want to go down that direction because maybe it's just too obvious or whatever. But it's like, I probably have to agree with Vash. Just put the belts on the Street Profits. They even made it pretty apparent that they haven't won the titles in a long time, and I feel like the character work that they're doing right now, especially what we saw with the vignettes, I mean, I'm completely behind it to have them as tag team champions again. But it's like outside of that, though, I mean, the match didn't really do much for me, really. It was just playing down like the whole path, the Street Profits, where they just want revenge for everything that's been done for them, and they don't want anybody else getting those titles unless it's them, which is why they ended up taking part into this match and ended up coming to a DQ, because it's like, those titles are yours. So Pretty Deadly, you're not going to get it. Motor City Machine Guns, like we saw at the Royal Rumble, you're not going to get it. That's ours.
Yeah, no, it's all Street Profits for this, but like there is kind of a story too with all those teams, because like it's, you know, kind of like I would say maybe the A story is Street Profits, you know, going after DIY, but like they're the targets not only because they're the champions, because of what they've done with the other teams. So it's like, okay, you have the Street Profits as the A team. They're at the end of the day, they should be the ones to get the titles off of DIY. But then, you know, you kind of have the B team, which is Motor City Machine Guns. They pretty much got cheated out of their titles on a couple of occasions against DIY. So they really want to go after DIY to get those titles back. And then you have the C team, which is Pretty Deadly, who, you know, they kind of did some grunt work for DIY. It was expecting some compensation, but then were just cast aside by them. And, you know, they also do have a pinfall victory over DIY. So they do still have that, you know, so there is at least a story to go into it all, but I will agree that it needs to be Street Profits at the end of the day, because they more than deserve it. I mean, they've been one of the best tag teams in the past few years, you know, and I know DIY and Motor City Machine Guns are up there, you know, but I mean, Street Profits have always been there, and especially like all the stuff that they had to go through. I mean, look at their match last year. It was that big street fight with Philadelphia against Karrion Kross and AOP. Like, I mean, that match was fine, but it's like they were basically on the lower mid card during all that time, and it's like, man, these guys deserve so much better than that. But hopefully, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you got Ricky Starks doing drinks with Bailey right now. I just saw.
Oh, did they actually go out and do that? Oh, that's adorable. Oh, I love that.
That's wholesome.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, but yeah, hopefully our tag teams get into a good program here, and hopefully the Street Profits do end up on top. But moving along to another tag match we had tonight, which I had a lot of fun with this. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm glad. I was worried that you guys wouldn't, because of, you know, of Carmelo's booking. So I'm glad you guys did, because I had a good laugh. I had a good time.
I did too.
We also had a 3-man versus 2. If anybody saw, John Cena almost pinned Carmelo as well.
He did. Oh, that was so. Again, I can understand why it might have come off as cringe or bad to people. I get that. I understand that. I had fun with it. So we had, and I'm calling them this tag team. We had Mellow Don't Miz taking on R-Truth and Louisiana's own L.A. Knight. Okay, so this is set up because Truth earlier in the day, he had gotten a tag team match made, Playa Holla Holla, against the Miz and Mello. And you have this backstage segment where like Miz is trying to like fist bump Mello, he's trying so hard to make this Mello Don't Miz thing work out. And I mean, they pulled out a victory tonight, so I mean, there is a thing, there's something for Carmelo to work with, I guess. Again, I get the reasons against it, but like that, I think the thing with this match is it did kind of feel very house showy in some instances, because again, this was one of those matches that's mainly for the fans in attendance to just kind of have a little bit of a laugh, kind of have some fun and all that. But almost like, okay, in a way, this was almost like a filler match, kind of like a filler episode. Like a filler episode of Naruto, for example, where it's like, oh, we have to go face off against Orochimaru, so we're gonna go find Orochimaru. However, on the way, we're gonna fight this potato man who's trying to like turn everybody into potatoes. It's like, well, wait, that has nothing to do with Orochimaru, but oh wait, he has some sort of tie to Orochimaru because Orochimaru turned his lover into a potato, and it's just like now he's gonna turn everybody into a potato. It's like, okay, let's get done with Potato Man so we can get to Orochimaru. And the reason I made that comment is because Nakamura comes out, does a sneak attack against LA Knight, and basically costs him and R-Truth the match because of that. And Mello Don't Miz pull out the victory. So it sounds like, Vash, you had a lot of fun with this match. Drop, did you have fun with this, or, was this kind of not your cup of tea when it comes to our weekly wrestling program?
I didn't really care about it that much, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm really wondering what's going on with the mid-card scene on SmackDown, because we just have Shinsuke Nakamura just in the background watching people, not really doing anything with the championship. And we even talked about earlier, you could have Jimmy going after that right now. You could even have Carmelo possibly entering the stratosphere of the U.S. title, especially if they're trying to rebuild him again, which they've been doing for the past couple weeks. So it's like, I'm hoping we get some sort of like direction with that instead of like a lot of these sneak attacks. Because I even told you before, it's like the whole thing going on with like LA Knight. It's like what's going on here? We've seen him with him and Shinsuke all the time. I thought he was going to be part of the transfer window, so that's more than likely a possible draft situation after WrestleMania now. Yeah. So it's like, what's really going on here with that? Because I don't want to tune into like SmackDown next week and then we got LA Knight versus Shinsuke again, or R-Truth versus Shinsuke. I mean, you could only do so much with that before it gets old. And I mean, you got to really start kicking things into gear, especially around WrestleMania season. And, Jimmy just got a victory over Drew tonight. You got to have them interact at some point, because I feel like that might be the best thing you could really do with that title right now. Get it away from LA Knight. He's had his chance with it. Everybody else, like outside of Miz, anything, I don't really see Miz and Shinsuke. They're both heels, and it doesn't really make sense to factor him into that. So it's like, I'm just very curious, like, what's going on with that?
Honestly, I could see this being the multi-man match at Mania, where it's like you have Shinsuke versus Miz versus R-Truth versus Carmelo versus LA Knight. And then you could throw Jimmy in there just to have the even number in there, but you're gonna have to do something to work him into that.
Yeah.
But that could be like the multi-man ladder match for Mania, which I mean it would cook. Yeah, it's just it's just that argument too. It's just like, okay, let's just throw a lot of people into a multi-man match for WrestleMania so they can.
Yeah, because it seems like the ongoing narrative, like even with like the Rhea situation, it's like people are speculating Ia might get screwed over. Because now people are saying, oh, there's a good chance where Liv might win, which I can't really write that away because there's a good chance. So now you got a triple threat out of that. Because you don't really know what else Io's going to really factor into. And you got this fucking Roman, Seth, and Punk, or Cena, Cody, Punk, all this shit going on right now. So that's why, like, I'm hoping they got like a solid plan going on with this sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too.
Same with Mello. Just hoping they do a little something with it. Like, I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing thing between him and Miz, because I know Mel doesn't really care about it that much.
Nope.
Yeah.
So
No. Which, I mean, they could play upon that on TV or whatever, but I don't know. I want to take too much more time on that one because, again,
No.
it just feels like we're in filler town with it.
pretty
But
much.
I
That's
at
funny.
least had.
That's all.
Mhm.
That was fun and fun.
Oh,
Had
yeah.
a
Oh,
good
my God.
enjoyment.
It was funny.
Your John Cena almost pinned Carmelo,
He
and
did.
Carmelo was a good actor. He played off very well.
Mm.
I love how the
And
ref
in
even was like,
truth,
he's like, yes, 2.
Mm.
And like Archer was like, yeah, 2, 2, 2, 2. It wasn't 3. I'm like, damn, they played up this some good acting here.
I love too how like Truth tries to tag in Miz. He's just like, all right, your turn, buddy. It's just like, but your partner's over there. You're partnering with LA Knight, which even that, just like, oh, we got Louisiana's own LA Knight. It's like I love Wade Barrett on commentary. He's just like, no, he's not. He's not from Louisiana. He's from Maryland. He's only going by LA because now he lives there. So it's like, oh, thank you for knowing history. Thank you for reminding people. Oh, that's right. LA Knight is from Hagerstown, Maryland. How do I know that? I was there when he got the key to the city because
Yeah.
I know Hagerstown. I know that shithole. But we're not going to talk about that crap hole, and we're not going to talk more about filler because now we got our quick fire segments here. Now I put this first thing in the quick fire segment because it kind of belonged in it. We were supposed to get Naomi versus Liv tonight in a singles match, but that obviously didn't happen because Liv and Raquel ended up attacking both Naomi and Bianca and just kind of prolonging their feud and prolonging the match that we're going to have on Monday for the tag team titles. But like, with this segment, I mean, Naomi and Bianca, they keep dodging the whole thing about like, you know, who actually attacked Jay. Because I'm sorry, again, like me and Drop have talked about it before. Like
I definitely don't
that
think they're
video,
winning the titles on Monday. No.
yeah, I don't think they are. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like the video they even had of Liv and Raquel were there on the scene. It's just like,
red herring.
were they though? Like they were just walking like the different direction after Jade's getting into the ambulance. So it's
Yeah.
not like they were hiding out or anything.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
it's
kind of
like-
like a 20-minute difference. It's like, how does this connect?
Yeah.
Like, just because it was around the same area of the parking lot don't mean that it happened. Like, you barely have a
Yeah.
20-minute late footage. So whoever sent you this anonymous did not give you no time span because they must give you a corner saying 22 hours and 46 seconds and 22, millisecond. It didn't
Not-
say that in no corner.
Not only that, but it's like I talked about when you understand how a character is written to a story, like I talked about with Cody Rhodes. Liv Morgan is the kind of person where she attacks you, she'll brag about it. She'll brag about it on national television. When she did it with
Yeah.
Rhea, she bragged about it. Whatever the fuck she does, she brags about it. She's not afraid to come out there and be like, yeah, I attacked Rhea. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. Even the stuff with Nick Aldis, she just laughed in his face. She didn't give a shit.
that was
So
that was
it's
funny.
so it's like people, even when people initially saw, like, really, Liv and Naomi, and that's what I could really tell, like how people don't really pay attention to characters in WWE when it comes to how they're portrayed on television. They're not a part of it. But yeah, this was like one of the things again where it was supposed to be Liv and Naomi, and Liv and Raquel came out. Liv was waiting for Naomi in the ring. And then you had them get attacked in the middle of their entrance, and this is obviously going to play into their match on Monday. And the only reason why I'm saying I don't think they're going to win now, because now you got the champions, eating dirt. So to me, that's sort of telling me that Liv and Raquel aren't going to win.
Yeah. And I mean, if they
Especially
do
with
end
the
up winning,
momentum train.
cool, neat.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I can't
Freaking
really.
momentum, like
Yeah, like I can't really see it because it's like you could easily tell when they're really gonna play into something because of how they write it. It doesn't seem like they're really heading down that direction, and I also don't think it's Naomi. I really don't.
that attack Jade.
Yeah, they're playing it too obvious.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing too. Is just like they've done things before where it's like, oh, that this is the obvious thing,
This could be another
and it
Cena
ends up.
situation or Bianca. You never know. Could
Yeah, I
possibly.
mean that's the thing. It could be. So but our next quickfire segment is Kevin Owens just giving another like phone promo, but this time he's outside of Sami Zayn's house being like, I'm never gonna forgive you, Sammy, for what I'm about to do to you and your family. And I think it's funny because I saw a tweet that's very similar to what I'm about to say. It's kind of funny when you look at it because it's like, okay, you know, because of how close of friends Kevin and Sammy are, for a fact that Kevin was probably over there like staying the night or hanging out with them, and he just ran outside to do this phone promo just to look at them inside. Like,
Man,
eh,
you literally brought up the same thing I was gonna bring up because
Yeah.
that's literally the most funniest thing. Because if anybody also saw, Kevin Owens and his wife celebrated 18 years, and a lot of
mhm,
people was trying to do speculation like, oh my god, the, that looks like the same background painting of the wall of Zayn. I'm like, yo, yeah, speculating too funny,
Mm.
but it's hilarious because that's playing kayfabe. KO probably stepped out the house, did this video, got into the acting the emotions, and then probably went back in. He probably showed it to Sammy, like, yo, Sam, what you think of this? Was it good? He like, nah, guys, hey, let's refix it.
mhm.
Hey, let's redo it. It's just funny of how this might actually be happening, and we will never know. And I'm glad we'll never know. Just the speculation, the
Yeah.
fun, just knowing that hey, they were probably hanging out, have a quick dinner, and then hey guys, I gotta film this because it's about to be 8 o'clock for tonight's
Yeah.
cover SmackDown. Let's do this. So
Mhm.
it's enjoyable. I really love that the idealistic of it, and KO and Sammy, an unsanctioned match for Elimination Chamber. I know me and Watkins, at the moment we're still doing on the sidecast, so I know we're gonna really enjoy that unsanctioned match. The last thing I saw was them having a sanctioned match as the where Sammy was wearing a mask. I believe I saw on the timeline recently, and
Oh,
that should look
yeah.
fucking insane. I believe Samuel Kale threw a ladder to one of their faces, and
Yeah.
Kale was
El
fucking bleeding
Generico.
down his forehead. And I'm like, hijo de
Mhm.
puta de la gran madre de la wea puta. That shit look fucking intense. So now that we're about to have one on a bigger stage in their hometown, I'm sure they're eternally happy and proud of that moment.
Yeah, what Vash said. Exactly what Vash said. Oh man, but it's also funny too because like it looks like either they got a new house and haven't put everything up yet, but Sammy's house looks kind of barren, so it looks like they kind of truly live a simple life, which is neat, I guess. I don't know, just nice quaint area that they live in and all that. So yeah, Drop. Do you have any thoughts on this Kevin Owens little promo that he had?
I mean, I this is probably my favorite build personally heading into Chamber.
Mhm.
Being perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're
Um,
gonna they're gonna have a blast.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure if you got this speak about it last night or on Ross,
Mhm.
because I didn't get to finish both coverage shows yet on my own time to watch, but
Mhm.
the unsanctioned match, my theory is Randy Orton will be popping up during that match, and somehow those three might have a continuous feud to lead up to WrestleMania. Not sure if you guys bring that up or have
Oh
thought
no,
about that or have discussed that yet.
oh no, I agree. That's probably the direction.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. We'll probably get Orton involved. He'll probably hit a punt kick since again unsanctioned. We're bringing up banned moves and all that stuff. So yeah, Orton will probably get involved somehow because. I mean, as much as we don't want to really believe reports right now, but there was a report saying that a slated match for Mania was Kevin versus Randy. So yeah, we'll have to see if that's actually a thing or not. But hey, you know what, everybody? That was Smack Diggity Down for Friday. I I know personally me, I had some fun with this show, but I can recognize where it kind of could feel a little slow or a little bad for some people and all that. Like I recognize that, but I can't lie. It might have been just also the high I was coming off of from watching episode 19 of Dragon Ball Daima, which oh, y'all are, oh my gosh, that not to big up anything, that might have been my favorite reaction video to ever record in the longest time. So if y'all want to catch that, stay tuned soon on the AniMa W3 Studio
Yeah,
YouTube
just
channel.
stay tuned by
quick plug.
by Saturday morning, early afternoon. So stay
Mhm.
tuned for that. It will be a crazy one. Myself and Nate did a reaction. It was a lot of fun. So trust me.
Yeah,
Gogeta, possibly episode 20. That's all.
possibly. Yeah, we'll see if that's a possibility. But yeah, if you guys can't wait for mine, make sure to always check out Vash's and Memories reaction as well. It was really good. I did watch y'all's reaction for that, so yes, all of the yes on there. But yeah, again, I thought SmackDown was fun. Vash, what did you think of SmackDown tonight?
SmackDown was good. I haven't been on the show for the SmackDown cover show the past couple of weeks, but when Vash is not here, he's doing other stuff, being productive, getting stuff, editing. But he wanted to be on tonight's coverage because it was a good show. We had a good time talking about The Rock and was a speculation, because it's also a hit special because The Rock is the epicenter of what was last year the foundation and creation of Weebs of the Ring because of him being a factor into the road to WrestleMania. And now a year later, still in the month of February after Royal Rumble, we are getting the sparks, the waves of him changing the landscape because of him being involved into WrestleMania. So it's a great conversation, and I love how we're talking about the soul of Cody Rhodes. What does it mean? Like, I feel like we're talking about something about Uncle Howdy of the White Six, but even though they haven't been involved, so it's just pretty interesting that we're having like a supernatural conversation without being said. It was more like the ghost of Christmas past in a way, and The Rock is asking for your soul. So I find that conversation pretty interesting. And what I really like, what you guys really had a good conversation yesterday on the women division. I also want the tag team division to get focused. The mid card where we also have the U.S. title being paid attention, other than we have a vignette or we have a fucking DQ with Shinsuke in the backstage. So those are things I still want to get fixed in SmackDown. By no trial and tribulation with Triple H, he will be continue finding his groove because for some reason he wanted a 3-hour show. So he better give us a fucking 3-hour product that's actually entertaining. Hopefully soon, or maybe after WrestleMania, because we're having the little, push the stories along.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I think it's around June time. SmackDown's going back to 2 hours. So
Oh, really?
we only got we only got
Okay.
like about 3.5 months left of 3-hour SmackDowns.
Yeah.
Yay. Huzzah. But go ahead and pun intended, drop that knowledge. How'd you think of SmackDown overall tonight?
Honestly thought the show was all right. Like, the main point a lot of people were really watching SmackDown was because of The Rock. A lot of people were really curious to see what he was going to do, and obviously you saw our conversation earlier about the kind of directions that it could possibly go down. So hopefully that's handled properly, because I know, like we talked about, people making comparisons to WrestleMania 17, and I know that finish itself is very controversial. A lot of people even argue that that was kind of the end of the Attitude Era because of all of that. Wasn't really a popular thing all those years ago when it originally happened. But hoping they have a good mindset around this, hopefully it heads down a direction, because we could be preaching all of these ideas and that it could completely be something different, and then we're in here again thinking like, oh really? Like we're doing that. So we'll see how that plays out. We're probably the odd people out of the bunch, probably with a few exceptions from other people that are waiting to see how this is handled instead of jumping to conclusions and thinking this and that's going to happen. And like Vash said, hoping the U.S. Title picture gets handled a little bit better. Tired of seeing Shinsuke Nakamura really walking around not doing anything with the belt. I mean, do something like creative, like with Braun Breaker and AJ Styles. Do something like that's we don't normally see all the time. enough repeat stuff, and hopefully with the women's division, things definitely get handled a little bit better with that. But that's basically how I feel.
All right, perfect. Well, hey, everybody, that has been the show. That has been the Weebs of the Ring podcast, episode 117. We are still in season 2, so everything is going very smoothly. So, I see some of you guys have joined us near here at the end of the show. So, apologies, if you missed most of the show, but don't you worry, don't you fret. The VOD will be up as soon as YouTube decides, all right, you're done buffering, you're done what is it, what's the word I'm looking for, streaming, after it's done processing, that's the word I'm looking for. As I'm trying to process the words I'm trying to say, the video is going to be up, the VOD will be up for you guys to check out in the morning, or as soon as we're done streaming. But if you can't get enough of us, there's plenty of places you can find us, and I am so glad Vash is back here to do this part, because as much as I love giving the plugs, I gotta let Vash do it. As always, Vash, where can these people find us on the socials?
Look, chat, if you want to see more of from this show, Dragon Ball Z, so Dragon Ball AniMa W3 Studio, the main channel. We have reactions of myself on episode 18 and 19. We also have walk-ins. We're going to do our best for episode 20 next week to have all 4 of us the best we can and do a reaction in group 1 and mashup. We also have Off the Bench that comes every Monday at 10 a.m. We have Animated Podcast that comes at every 8 p.m. on Thursday EST. We have every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. EST for Grappling with the Week to discuss indie promotions, the other promotions, WWE, and our hot topic on the conversation, like it was the woman division of WWE. So if you like what we're discussing, if you like our conversation that we're bringing up, continue liking the video, continue subscribing if you want to support our content, and comment down below your thoughts about it, because guys, we want to hear your thoughts about the episode, our coverage, and also your opinion. If not, join the Discord where we have our weekly conversation about OFG, where we have our conversation of Raw, SmackDown, other programming of the company WWE, AEW, and others, where we have one next month. They're launching thank you, Evolve.
Yep.
Yes. In my head, I was about to say Evil Drop, but you saved me. Exactly. I was about to call it Evolution, but then the drop said like, yes, Evolve. I'm like, thank you. I knew it was something with AVL something. But yes, like Drop said it perfect. Evolve is on YouTube or Tubi for anybody that have. So we'll be just getting a lot of things coming up. I also saw the Sonya Deville stuff. So you saw so many things I said promoted about or handles down below in the lower third. So without further ado, guys, thank you for supporting, liking, and hit the outro.
Yes, hitting the outro I will, just like a claymore to the face that Jimmy Uso got earlier tonight. But yes, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, again, follow us on all those social medias that Vash told you about, and also be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring, and interact with us before, during, or after these shows, because also feedback is also appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in, and we are always looking to level up our game. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa W3 Studio. Thanks as always to our production team for all the hard work that they put off to make this show a reality. And so thank you once again for checking us out, and remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you on Monday for Monday Night Raw.
And the Psycast.
Yep. Hopefully that's a good go home show. We'll see you guys there.